This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Abam. We continue in Mishna Berura, Daf Hashavua. We're learning Siman Yud Beis. Today we're up to Siman Yud Gimel. We're up to Siman Yud Gimel. Dinei Tzitzis b'Shabbos. The laws of Tzitzis on Shabbos. We are up to Siman Yud Gimel. Says the Mechaber, Arba Tzitziyos Ma'akvin Zeh. The four strings are Ma'akev. So if you only have three, at least I got 75% of the mitzvah. No, it's either all or nothing. If you don't have all four, you're not strung properly. If you walk out on Shabbos, you have to bring a carbon chatas. So you have to bring a fat cow. You have to bring it up to the Harabayas. It's a long walk, especially with a cow. Probably they had stores over there that you could get it while you're there, but still, it's still a walk. And a cow costs a lot of money these days with inflation. You know, I mean, one piece of steak in 5 towns, one slice, they want like $50 in the store. So imagine a whole cow. And in Yerushalayim, as far as I know, the prices are not low. I mean, to get an apartment over there, it's even more than the 5 towns. So a cow, it's an expensive thing. So therefore, you want to make sure your tzitzis are good. It's worth paying, I don't know, $50 to get a pair of tzitzis, so you don't have to spend $1,000 on a carbon chatas. Okay. Says the Mishna Berura, Shekulam he mitzvah achas, they're all one mitzvah. Nechzolai afilu tzitzis achas have a kilahita b'klal. If you're missing even one string, it's like you didn't put on anything. Ubita legamri aseh the tzitzis. Not only that, not only we're not mekayim the mitzvah, you're also mevatel mitzvah d'oraisa. Interesting, just the word legamri, the Sha'ar Tzion says that he wrote the word legamri in a precise, meaning he precisely wrote it. This is not just a form of expression. To address the Pri Megadim's kasha, so just to show the exactitude of the wording of the Mishna Berura. L'rshus harabim. 1 minute, the battery. Rishus Harabim, says the Mishna Berura. Okay. Ula Carmelis Aser Midrabanan. To a Carmelis, which is not a biblical domain, so that it would be in a Sidraban to where they says this. The same thing would apply any other disqualification. Baghead, let's say the garment was mostly closed. Or this is we're not in the right place. Either the lamala migimel, so they're above 3 fingers, or they're below from the knuckle to the nail. Katan mishir akasa b'siman tazayin ayin sham, or the corners were too small. All these psulin, you can't even go out into a carmelis. What if the dirsha wants to know? Someone is machmar on himself because of a chumrah, not to carry on Shabbos in a place that you're allowed to carry. In other words, let's say, there's an Erev, but you're machmer not to use the Erev. So if Shlomo Kluger says you can make a Tanai, then you're mekabel the Chumrah, that you're not mekabel the Chumrah, klape the mitzvah of tzitzis, if there's ever a shaila. In other words, let's say, not using an Erev could actually come out a very big, you think you're being machmer not using the Erev, you're a big mekel. Why am I mekel? Because there's a chumrah using an Erev. Because by using the Erev, at least now, if my tzitzis for whatever reason are not good, at least I'm not carrying. But for the big frummy who doesn't want to use the Eruv, he's getting messed up because he's actually going to be carrying on Shabbos. So somebody who doesn't use the Eruv should make a Tanai, says, yeah, I don't use the Eruv, but in case my tzitzis are no good, I'll use the Eruv for that. And that's a valid Tanai. And Rav Shlomo Kluger adds, when you wear such a beggar on Shabbos, it's like you're a makabel to be able to use the Eruv for tzitzis, and you don't have to make that stipulation again. Okay, the Mishna Berura continues. What if the beggar is not rubai sasum, but it's exactly 50-50, so that you have to look earlier what we say by a beggar that's mamish precisely 50-50. Chayiv chatas, why? It's considered carrying because of the extra tzitzis. So you say, come on, aren't the strings batal to the beggar? Let's say, for example, I have a shirt, and the shirt has a design of tassel in the end. So that's not carrying, it's part of the beggar. The big frummy probably has kosher tzitzis. He probably does, but if something happened that he didn't know about, he's actually he might get himself into hot water. So why aren't these strings batal? The chutei tzitzis chashiv and v'lebetel. Strings of tzitzis are chashiv and they're not batal. Afilam oisem tzitzis gam kein psulam heim. And even if the tzitzis are pasul, so you say, why are they batal? They're not chashiv. They're not even kosher. So why is it carrying? Kamakum kol shenimtza behem ezay chutin kesherim. So long as you still have some kosher strings, daitai aleim, your mind is still on them. Chashivi v'lebetel. So in other words, if somebody has pasul strings, we say they're not batal to the beggar. Why? But they're not chashav, they're pasul. But the reason is because as long as you have kosher strings, you think about them. Then it would come out, by the way, what if they're all pasul? So if they're all pasul, it might not be considered carrying. Imloi, yeah, if they're all pasul, if they're all not kedei aniva, if none of them have the shear, then they're not chashav, and then taka, it would be batal. If you realize while you're walking that all your strings are pasul, so then, as they say in carry on. Just carry on, because they're batal to the beggar, it's not considered carrying. Who's kedei aniva? It depends. Average string kedei aniva. Okay, Siv Beis. Imhi mitzuyetzes kelchasa muter latzeis balashus arabim bein talas katan bein talas gadal afilu b'zman hazeh she'en lanu tchelas. Even nowadays, that we don't have the blue color, we don't have tchelas, nevertheless, you are completely fulfilling the mitzvah of tzitzis, and therefore you may go out into a rishus harabim, whether you're a talis katan or you're a talis gadol. Says the Mishna Berura muter latzeis. The Dirshu points out from Rabbi Moshe Al-Char, this is Pashat. What's the lamdas? The asay of wearing tzitzis is doicha the lav of carrying? No. The lamdas is that when you have kosher tzitzis, then the tzitzis are needed by the beggar, and it's considered a chelek of the beggar. Now, the Mishna Berura wants to know, am I allowed to walk at night in the tzitzis? Va'afilu b'layla delazman tzitzisu. Mishum denoihu lebeged. It's a beauty for the beged. It's a beauty for what's the beauty? Beautiful to have strings coming out of your garment. So then, why don't we say the same thing? If the tzitzis, let's say, are snapped by the hole, nobody sees it. It's not even sticking out. Let's say. So why isn't that a beauty? Apparently, the beauty is that you have an item that is usable for a mitzvah, even if it's not currently the time of the mitzvah. And even if it's a talis of other species, let's say it's cotton, And let's say according to the Shita of the Mechaber, Afilu HaPoskim LeElbasim Tesef Abdechivan Rak Midrabanan. Let's say according to those Shitas that it's Pasul, that it's only Chai Midrabanan. Mekamakam Noi Beggar. Why? Kivan da Al Kapanim Mechuyev Behem B'Taras Vadi. Because I'm definitely Chayev. Ve'enoi doime lebeged shechetzi pasul v'chetzi sasum. It's not like a beggar that's half open, half closed. The Pasul Shulchan Aruch La'el b'Siman Yud Sivzayin the Ein Yotzim by b'Shabbos. Da hasam chiyuvoy rak mitzad safek. That's hard to understand. So what if the chiyuv is only mitzad safek? Let's say it's a safek d'oraisa. Safek d'oraisa l'chumra. I gotta wear it. So then it's not noi. It's not beautiful. Why is that not beautiful? Chazonish sort of asks, a tzarachian, because it's not the mitzvah that makes the tzitzis tafel to the beggar. Be the raya is at night, you're allowed to wear tzitzis outside. But if the beggar needs a tzitzis, it's minoi ha-beggar, it's part of the decor of the beggar to have the strings, because this beggar needs it. It might not need it right now, but it needs it. So, ask the Chazonish, if I have to put strings on this garment, albeit misafek, it should be considered a need of the beggar. So the Minchas Yitzchak wants to answer that tzitzis is considered a beautification of the beggar if in the eyes of people it's a mitzvah. So if it's a safek, then people do not definitively consider it a beggar. Rav Shlomo Zalman has a very revolutionary take on this, that really if it's chayiv misafek, you're allowed to wear it on Shabbos in the Shus HaRabim. The Shulchan Aruch says you're not allowed to. That's talking about a case where you plan on taking it off to be mechayiv yourself b'taras vadai. But if you want to leave it that way, you're allowed to wear it on Shabbos. That would be a big chiddush. I would say, the afarani tachas kape shneim, differently than Rav Shlomo Zalman or the Minchas Yitzchak, that what makes it a beautification for the beggar is not the way people see it. What makes it a beautification for the beggar is if the beggar definitely needs it. If this is needed by the beggar, so then it's inherently a beautification for the beggar. But if the beggar does not definitively need it, it needs a mitara suffix, so then it's a suffix beauty. It's not a vadai beautification. Does this beggar need it? Yeah, it needs a misafik. Great. So then its level of decor is a suffix need. So then l'chayra, you can't go out on Shabbos, the taras vadai. The Mishna Berura continues quoting the Pri Megadim Aratz Chaim, not like the Shav Yaakov, and then he says, Tamid also writes this, that at night it's not Zman Tzitzis because it's still a Noi. And even if it's only Chayiv Midrabanan, it's a Noi. But if it's Chayiv Misafek, then it's not a Noi. Well, that's still hard to understand, because let's say it's a suffix d'oraisa, then midrabanan you need to do it. It's definitely a decor midrabanan. It's going on each one. Okay, we'll hold it over here. But let's think about what is the difference between a beggar of tzitzis at night when it's not the zman of the mitzvah, and a beggar that's chayiv in tzitzis misafek. We'll think about that. Have a good day, everyone. Shkayach. Bracha batzlacha.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.